Hi everyone, it's Nicole from Autism Awareness Australia and welcome to our Mother's Day panel. Today I'm joined by three remarkable mums, Mel, Catherine and Jo, and we're going to have a chat about parenting autistic children, motherhood and Mother's Day. Thanks ladies for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's like a mini reunion of our recent Autism Melbourne speaker series, just without the wine. So let's go around and introduce ourselves. Mel, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, a bit about your family.
So obviously I'm Mel. I am an autistic person. I'm a parent of three autistic lovely individuals. And then I'm also CEO of an organisation called Different Journeys, which we started to create peer support and social connection for the autism community for somewhere safe to come.
Jo, what about you?
My name is Jo. I've got 2/3 autistic children. We're doing some assessments at the moment. I'm a journalist at Nine, so I write a lot and do some TV stuff, and I'm very good at looking like I've got it all together, but I very clearly don't.
Lie.
I just don't. I don't.
Catherine, over to you.
Hi, I'm Catherine Piraboom. I am also the mother to three beautiful neurodivergent boys. In my professional career, I train first responders to understand autistics and the disabled and vulnerable in the field. So it's a challenging and rewarding job, but something that I do in honor of my beautiful boys.
Brilliant. And I'm Nicole. I work here at Autism Awareness Australia. I head up the fundraising and partnerships. I've got two boys. So I realised all of you have three children, and I'm the odd one out with two. Two very busy boys, and my eldest Hugo is on the autism spectrum. So let's get into the thick of it, ladies. Motherhood. What's been the biggest surprise and reward of motherhood?
I think for me, the biggest surprise was the journey deviation. So everything that I thought my motherhood journey was going to be, when my boys were born, obviously our path deviated, and I think that was the biggest surprise. The rewarding part is as soon as I let go of those preconceived ideas, then the rewards just they're daily in our house, and I have a huge woohoo and high five moment with my boys pretty much every day, and the wins are celebrated, and it could be something as simple as one of the boys grabbing a toothbrush and putting it to their lips. I know that was hard for them, and they've done it because mummy has asked them to do it. And they've done that because they trust me and they love me, and it was hard for them. So that's a big celebration, because next week we might be able to get water on the toothbrush, and that's a new sensory step for them. So the rewards are huge. They're every day, and I'm so proud of them for trying and constantly fighting to achieve. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. What about you, Jo?
Surprises. Did you say surprises and rewards? I think the biggest surprise for motherhood was how lonely it can be. I think I thought that the community was automatic and the support was automatic, but from the very beginning I found it really lonely and isolating. A lot of that's because I wasn't in a marriage that was supportive, and I was living a bit further away from my family than I would have liked. But then as the kids were diagnosed, my family sort of doesn't quite get it and hasn't, sort of leaned into understanding it. It's just really lonely and isolating. And I suppose, the rewards, I'm at a stage where my kids are older. So they're 19, 15 and 13. So all those little, achievements each day that Catherine mentioned, I'm sort of at the point where what they don't know, and they probably never will. And I just don't understand how they're going to figure out their place in the world, although I know that they will. It's just mum brain just makes you worry. And I try to stay positive and be positive, but I don't see it yet, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And because they're autistic teenagers are just like other teenagers, they don't want to hear it from me. My eldest wants me to back off. Meantime, he's virtually housebound. So now I feel like I'm fighting, the world and the teenage brain. So it's a really difficult position to be in. But I'm hoping that in 5 and 10 years' time, I look back on this and go, wow, we got through it, and look at them now working and with friends and whatever. But, we'll see.
Oh, let's catch up in 10 to 12 years' time. And
Yeah.
because I'll be in the teenage boat and I'll be right,
Yeah, I'm here for you.
right back at you. Now, what about you?
I think the biggest surprise for me, and similar to Catherine in the fact that I had a vision of how I expected motherhood to be. And then, the autism diagnosis comes into it. But then what I had to do was actually look individually at my 3 children and actually not be the mother I thought I was going to be, but the mother that they needed me to be. And sometimes that hasn't married. And sometimes it has. And so I've had to be 3 different types of mothers for the 3 different types of children to meet their needs. So I think for me, that was an adjustment phase to look at them instead of myself, and look at how I could best support them. And sometimes that didn't align with my perception. So, there was a lot of grief and a surprise and understanding, about it's about them, not about me. And I guess that was my gift to them as a mother, was not to be the mother I thought I was going to be, but to be the mother they needed. And the surprise, and the most rewarding part, like Joe, my kids are a lot older. And I remember one of the psychologists telling me, man, it's hard until they hit 16. It's really, really hard until they hit 16. And then all that work that you've been putting in, and all that, when all the other kids are off partying and all of that, and your children are still at home on a Saturday night, because that fits in, you get such a lot of rewards out of seeing the hard work. So you can kind of start seeing your future. And and the other reward for me is watching, when my son was diagnosed 15 years ago to the supports that are available now. Geez, we've come a long way, and geez, we've come more positive conversations and starting, and the opportunities. So it gives me a bit of hope for the future.
Yeah.
Sorry, you'll get me going.
No. I mean, and I think, I know when I was pregnant, I read that book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. There's no chapter on autism. So yeah, there's a lot of surprises and a lot of rewards along the way. But, I think you've all touched on it. Like, being a mum or a carer can be stressful and hard at times, and add autism, add managing therapies, NDIS, daily meltdowns, everyday life. How do you strike the balance of health and well-being for yourselves?
I think that's it's an ongoing process for me. My boys are younger. My boys are 9, 8, and 7, and I think I still haven't got it together. But I promised myself this year that 2023 would be the year that I started to prioritize myself. And I'm starting to do that. And I'm starting to see the benefits of that from a mental health perspective, from a relationship perspective with my husband, with my kids, the way that I'm much more positive with my children. And I started really simply. I went and got acrylic nails. And I know it sounds really silly, but every 3 weeks, I now go to a nail salon and I get an hour to myself, and it allows me to pause. So it's just little things, that have helped me start to balance and pre-planning my diet. So on a Sunday, I get my list of foods together, and I meal prep. So I'm not, when I'm exhausted after, long days between the boys and meltdowns and all of those things, that I'm not ordering in takeaway, because that became expensive and it was no good for my waistline. So yeah, they're the couple of things there.
That's great, Catherine. Show us your nails. What colour have you got on?
They're red today.
Lovely. Well done. What about you, Jo?
So remind me of the question again.
What do you do to strike health and well-being?
I take Zoloft. I have since 2015 when my little boy was diagnosed. Left my husband in 2018. That helped too. I'm a single mum, so I don't really have time for that. Which is where the Zoloft comes in. And, being a single mum of 3 neurodivergent kids is fine because it's better than being with someone who isn't supportive and who is destructive. So there's a lot of freedom in that. And the one thing I did when we left was I said to the kids, we're a team, but I'm also part of the team. So I'm sometimes going to have to lie down or have a gone day and not be able to do stuff for you. And they sort of can look after each other a little bit. That doesn't happen very often, but, the option is there and them understanding that is good. Although, they're all teenagers now, so they tend to forget that as well. But it's really just, like Catherine said, just little things, going for a walk, watching Netflix, eating a good bowl of pasta. I always laugh during Carers Week and, everyone's got these really grand suggestions. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? We have 8 minutes every 3 days, and so you get very efficient at it. But I also feel that, that's something I might do later once the kids are sorted. I talk about turning 50 in Italy, which would be great because I haven't traveled and I don't have a passport. I think maybe it's thinking of the future when the kids are sorted and planning stuff for then. Maybe that's what gets me through, I think.
Well, that sounds fabulous. What part of Italy would you go to?
Well, I want to go to Naples because that's where my dad was from. My dad died recently and he was like my only support. So yeah, I really want to go to Naples and turn 50 there because I wanted to turn 40 there, but then Philip got really, really mentally unwell and was in hospital and I had to cancel it. But I think 50 is better because the kids will sort of be in a better place by then. So I think everything has happened for a reason. Now I've just got to save up for it, with what little money I have left over. I hope the kids don't like eating salmon because that's gone.
Naples sounds fabulous and you'll definitely get your bowl of pasta there.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Mel? What do you do?
Self-care is about permission and permission to outsource. So for one thing for me is I need to keep, the wheels running on the house. So permission to, have a cleaner, permission to, outsource getting my towels, my laundry done so that, if it's overwhelming. So I've had to give myself permission that I'm not a bad person by doing all of this, but this is actually keeping the whole family going. And the other bit was about, I see a psychologist, I get my own help, I get my own perspective. And the other bit of self-care, which is really important to us, is peer support. So it's connecting in with somebody who's in the same place as you, maybe not quite the same, but, one of the things I used to go to carers events because they lump us all in as a carer together, and I'd sit there and it was with lots of people who were caring for aged parents, and I'd walk away feeling quite disempowered because there was no one there that I could connect to. And as an autistic, neurodivergent family, I needed to find my own tribe with people who understood. And that's part of the reason why we are autism specific as well.
It's so important taking care of our mental health. And, like you say, the mother experience is different, mothering or parenting autistic children. For those mums that may be new to this journey or recently got a diagnosis for themselves or their child, what would be one piece of advice that you'd give them?
Well, can I go first for this one?
Sure.
Being obviously one of the things that I've learned, and mothers using the Mother's Day, right? There's a lot of pressure on you for Mother's Day. Everyone would suddenly want you to go to all of these family events. They all want to kiss you. They all want to touch you. They all expect you to sit and have a roast dinner, and you hate roasts, and then they complain and tell you, you need to get your children under control. They're not sitting how they're supposed to, right? They are the days that are fraught with danger, right? And then my husband and I would have a fight because I was not applying how, the behavior it was expected. So it became a really challenging day. So we've actually given ourselves permission to actually do what we want and what we need. And often for me, Mother's Day is actually about staying home, because the cafes are always really booked out, right? And, you know, all of that kind of thing. And that becomes really overwhelming and a recipe for disaster for my, you know, my community. And so the other thing I do is I get my husband to take his mum out by herself. So she gets to have that one-on-one time with him. So that I'm kind of ticking a box, you know, not looking like I'm refusing him, and then honoring our own needs.
Yeah, wonderful.
I think for me, it's about don't be so hard on yourself, and learn to forgive yourself. You know, Joe touched on earlier how lonely and isolating the journey can be, and it was the same for us. We lost family, we lost friends that I'd been best friends with for over 15 years. We lost our tribe. And it was difficult to navigate the journey. And the boys, whilst they're beautiful, they have lots of complications. They have multiple diagnoses, and they have very difficult days. And that then in turns, as I think Joe was saying too, we're a team as a family, but you've got to learn how to forgive yourself, because the days don't go as planned. Even in Mel's example on big family days and big holidays, you know, they're not going to go as planned. So try and let go, get, you know, frozen in your head and sing it out to yourself, and let that be your mantra. Just let it go. Hold on to the things that are of importance and of value, and let the other stuff go. And the other thing is to find your tribe. And there are so many beautiful connections that I've made now in the space. And the one little bit of advice when you are dealing with social media is just to not let a stranger intimidate you or make you feel anything other than what you're supposed to be feeling, which is supported and happy about the experience. So if you're in a tribe that you think was originally the right tribe, but they're making you feel inadequate or they're making you doubt yourself, then they're actually not your tribe.
Such sound advice.
Yeah.
What about you, Joe? Any advice for someone walking down this path?
Yeah, for sure. My advice is just to slow everything down. This is not a situation where an ambulance rushes in and they need attention stat. You know, I'd have teachers ring and go, "Oh, your child's doing this. What are we going to do?" And I'm like, I'm going to think about that over the next few weeks. Slow everything down. You know, your child is going to be autistic for the rest of their lives. There's some stuff that you can manage and modify and support. There's nothing to cure. You know, we used to go to so much therapy. It was just a waste of time and money. And during lockdown, we stopped everything. And I think I went back to 1 out of 3 kids, because I realized a lot of it was focused on fixing them. And I was like, well, the message that's sending is that there's something wrong with them. And I just wanted to take that energy out, especially as they approach their teenage years. I pulled one son out of school and he did the rest online, because I was so sick of trying to fight for accommodations. I was like, you guys suck. I'm just going to have to remove him from this entire situation, and we're just going to do it from home. My little boy got into a support unit, and I was told, oh my God, you should be so grateful. These are so rare. And you know, I was tempted to go, you know, tell them to shove it, because I found that so offensive, that it's so rare to get proper placement for autistic kids in public high schools. We took it, it's great, but there needs to be plenty for everyone. My little girl needs different supports, but you know, this is the rest of their lives and the rest of your lives, and there is no rush. There's nothing urgent to fix. They need time to process. You need time to process. If people try to pressure you to get extra therapies or fix things or come up with solutions for things, just, you know, wave them away. And tell them that you'll come back to them when you're ready to address it. Because I think that a lot of parents of neurodivergent kids have neurodivergence themselves, and we also need a lot of time to process things, especially if you don't have a lot of support. Yes, slow everything down. There's no rush. You know, you'll figure it out when you're ready.
Yeah, I wish I had all this advice.
Yeah. Same.
So good. Hindsight's
Mhm.
a wonderful thing, isn't it?
That's why we're doing this, Nicole. Yeah, that's why this is so important. So
Impart our
thank you so
wisdom.
much. Yeah.
Absolutely. We've got to support the new parents on their journey and share what we've learnt.
Mhm.
Mel, you talked about before parenting 3 autistic children, and the parenting is different across those 3 children. Tell us what it's like when you got your autism diagnosis. Did that change anything in the way you parented in general, or to the 3 of them, or not at all?
Yes, it did, because the reason I was then able to look at things in a different lens, and go, oh, and also not be as judgmental. So going, there's a reason this is happening, and how can I look at it differently? So, they've been some of my greatest teachers as well. They say I'm more autistic than them because they've had more therapy than I've had. Um, and I'm really mindful, even as we discuss all of this, that that within this community there's an angst about attacking carers because we're talking negatively, or in a deficit based language, but recognizing that it is harder, but the reward, it's not that you didn't want them, it's just different. And being able to talk that in a language that still is respectful of them as children too, and young, people. And it's a really hard situation I often find myself in as an autistic person, a parent, and trying to navigate what's respectful for both, respectful of the journey and the extra challenges of being a carer, versus keeping their dignity, their human rights, that they're not a burden. So that's a lot of words I've just used to try and explain that. But it's something I'm really, it's really at the back of my mind all of the time, to make sure that I'm not doing them a disservice.
Absolutely. So we're mums, we overthink, right? What keeps you up at night? What's something at the moment that your greatest worry is about your kids? Jo?
Oh my gosh, one. My head hits the pillow. What if
Yep.
someone's mean to them? What if they're murdered? What if they're bullied? Like, what if someone rips them off with all their money? Like, I mean, every time I watch movies and TV shows and read books, they talk about, people who are vulnerable to scams and people who join cults. And I'm just like, well, all 3 of my kids are like that. Like, how am I going to protect them from evil monsters? I talk about setting the kids up, financially, and making sure they've at least got one place we own that they can live in. That's the only financial goal I have now, having lost everything. But what if someone tricks them? I've heard stories of autistic adults, getting married to people who take advantage of them. And that's the thing I'm not sure how to address. I can teach them everything while they're with me, but once they leave this house and they meet someone and they think that it's someone they can trust, someone that's a friend, they don't understand when they're being charmed and tricked and manipulated. And I can only hope that they've got a good enough relationship with me that if there's a concern, they can come to me and say, oh, this person said this, but then they did that. What does that mean? So I hope that they can come to me in that circumstance, because that's absolutely terrifying. Other people mistreating and taking advantage of my kids when they're adults, that is the thing that keeps me up at the moment.
I'd have to agree with you on that one. What about you, Catherine?
Yeah, look, I mean, Jo's sentiment there is exactly why I got into the line of work that I do, because my children are non-verbal, and I stress every day about a bruise when they come home. Who bit them? Who's bullied them? Was it the bus driver? Was it the teacher? Was it another student that had a meltdown? And then getting out into the community and seeing the way that my boys are looked at and ridiculed. And, at the moment, they don't see the way that the world sees them, but I do. And that breaks my heart. And
I should have said at the beginning, bring your tissues. We all I'll send you a virtual one.
I know, thank you. On a day-to-day basis, for me at the moment, It's just keeping them safe. Two of my boys abscond. They run. They can be out in the street at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're like stealth ninjas at the moment. We're constantly hiding things. My boys have pica, so they eat inedible objects. I have to hide my razor blades. I have to hide things within the house, batteries. So it's those things every single night before I go to bed. I'm triple checking every lock on the door. Have I put away the keys in a new hiding spot? Have I removed the batteries from that toy because he chewed it and the magnets have now fallen out, or so it's like a SWAT team in my house every night, going from top to bottom throughout the house, and making sure that the boys are safe on a day-to-day. And then, as I just mentioned and Joe mentioned, then it's the big bad world outside, So there's a lot. It's not just one thing. It's a multitude of things.
Yeah. Our brains never switch off.
No.
Mel, what about you? You've got older children. What's keeping you up at night?
I echo everything Catherine and Joe have said, and I think the future is something that, will they live independently? Will they ever be able to have a full-time job? And as good as they're going, what if someone comes in and takes that? That's that whole. But the other bit I worry about is, I don't want the journey for my children and potentially their children to have been the journey that I've done with them. I want it to be an easier journey, because then all of our hard work will have been paying off. But right now, the trauma that we're constantly being exposed to access basic human rights for our children, it shouldn't be there. So that's something that does also sit. I'm trying to have a different answer, so we're not all saying the same thing.
It's all right. I mean, if we all have the same things keeping us up at night, I think that tells us what's going on in the community, right? So thank you for sharing that. I know I should have told everyone to bring their tissues, but that's motherhood and parenthood when you're in the autism community. And Mother's Day is coming up, and I do hope that you all get celebrated for all the worrying, all the day-to-day stuff that you do. Mel, I know that you're going to stay at home, but what do we all wish for Mother's Day? I know in my house, I keep thinking I can get a sleep in, and when I say a sleep in, it's past 4 or 5 a.m. And I know that's not going to happen.
And didn't you just go on a road trip?
Yeah, did a road trip, and 3:45 was the.
I wanted to send you a medal.
I know. Okay, so what do we all wish for Mother's Day? I think a sleep in would be really, really nice, but that's never going to happen in my house. And when I say sleep in, I need it more than 4 or 5 a.m. So what do we all wish for Mother's Day? Mel, I know you're staying at home and avoiding the crowds and the cafes.
No one talking to me.
Yeah. Silence.
Yeah.
That's a gift. It really is. What about you, Catherine?
We just chill, and I'm hoping for a meltdown free day. I don't have any issues. My boys are up at 4 a.m. pretty much every day too. Just a cuddle and a bit of wiggles. We're still into the wiggles, and a dance, and just enjoy each other's company. And for us, that's different. It could be everybody's on an iPad, and and I've got a glass of champagne, and we're just doing our thing, but we're together. And I can be anywhere in the world as long as I've got my husband and my 3 boys and my Labrador. I don't need anything else. So for me, it's just staying at home and being a family.
Beautiful. So what about you? You're well past the Mother's Day stalls.
I used to love that though. I love the Mother's Day stall. It was super cute. This year I want hotcakes from McDonald's, which is what I got last year. So during lockdown, my little boy learned how to walk to McDonald's, order food, and walk home. It took 8 months. He'd walk past it at first, and then he'd walk in it, and then he'd try to order, and then he'd leave before the food came. It was his whole thing. And they do know how to use Uber Eats, little cheeky kids. But I said that doesn't count on Mother's Day. I want them to go to McDonald's, buy me some hotcakes, don't mess the kitchen up. I just want to eat delicious pancakes. Yeah, and just hang out, probably watch South Park, because you need to have a sense of humor about the world. And yeah, just hang out with the kids, because, you know, at the end of the day, they're my best friends, they're my tribe, they're funny, they're hilarious. When we're home, everything is perfect. It's when we leave that, you know, things happen. So yeah, I think that we're all very similar in just wanting a nice, peaceful day at home.
So good. And I hope each and every one of you get all of that. Look, I can keep talking to you ladies for days, and you know that. So from all of us at AAA, we wish you a happy Mother's Day. Keep up the fabulous work at work, on the home front, and all your advocacy. We love and appreciate everything that you do in our community. As a token of our appreciation and thanks, we're going to be sending you a Francesca bracelet as a birthday gift. The team at Francesca are supporting Autism Awareness Australia this month, which with every bracelet sold, $20 comes back to the charity that's going to go into the development of our online training platform. So we're going to send that out to you in the mail. So keep an eye out for that. It's really cute. They're coming gold, silver, and rose gold, and it's got a beautiful orange gem, which is apparently the harmony gem. And I think we can all have a little bit more harmony in our lives. So
I love it.
That's gorgeous.
Enjoy
Thank
that.
you.
My daughter's going to take mine, but thank you.
That's nice. And for those watching, they can head to the description in the box below to purchase one before they all get sold out. But once again, happy Mother's Day to all the mums, the carers, the mother figures who support our autistic children each and every day. We really appreciate all the work that you do. For more information on autism, head to our website, autismawareness.com.au, or follow us on our socials at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Happy Mother's Day all, and thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you so much.